Hello everyone, my name is Roya, and today I'm going to tell you about the books that I read in the month of September. I only finished reading 2 books, which is so terrible for me. That is an all-time low. I'm someone who normally reads 10 plus books every month, and I just can't believe I only read 2, and I only read 3 last month, so I'm feeling pretty bad about my reading lately, but that's really okay. So I did also have 2 DNFs, which if you're not familiar with the booktube lingo means that they are books that I did not finish. So I'm also going to talk about those, and I'm actually going to talk about those first. So the first book that I DNF'd is The Broken Crown by Michelle West, and I'm really disappointed that I didn't like this book because this was actually a 5-star prediction for me, if you saw my 5-star predictions video recently. So the reason that I didn't end up enjoying this book, even after getting halfway through this chunker, is basically just the fact that no actual conflict was taking place that made me, care about anything that happened at all. And so I was still just so bored halfway through the book, and I just did not want to sit through another 300 pages of the same. And also there was just a lot of weird childbirth stuff going on and stuff like that, and I swear to God, like, the older I get, the less I want to read about anything having to do with pregnancy and childbirth, because ew, gross, I'm sorry. So I just did not want to read like any more of this book, and there's nothing bad about this book. Like, it's not a bad book, there's nothing offensive. I just personally was hella not feeling it. And the other extremely disappointing DNF that I have to talk to you guys about today is Star of the Morning by Lynn Curland. This is a fantasy romance because that is the only kind of romance I really read, is fantasy romance. So I was really excited to read about, like, a swordswoman and like some other random people like falling in love and stuff like that. But it was so boring. I got maybe a third of the way through this book or something like that, and just nothing was happening. There was no romance at all, and then once they finally did kind of introduce the romance, it was literally in the form of, he was the most beautiful man she had ever seen, and I'm like, dude, you've never even talked to him. How do you know he's the most beautiful man you've ever seen? Like, maybe I'm just too demisexual to understand, like, how you can be attracted to someone that you just, like, see and don't actually meet in any capacity. So I have no idea. Like, I don't know. But mostly it was the fact that all the characters were really one-dimensional. So, for example, the main character is a swordswoman, and her entire personality is literally just, like, hating on everyone who doesn't know how to fight because she thinks they're, like, too prissy if they don't fight and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, sure, lady, whatever. Like, and that's her whole personality. That's, like, the only defining characteristic that she has. And basically the whole thing is like that. So yeah, I was not too thrilled with this book, unfortunately. Now, the first book that I actually finished in the month of September is Daughter of the Blood by Anne Bishop. I finally read this. This was a 5-star prediction for me as well, but it didn't quite get 5 stars for me. So essentially, this is a really badass book full of really badass people and badass magic and everything, and I really, really liked it a lot. The only thing that seems super weird to me is the fact that there's like a grown-ass dude who's like so in love with like a 7-year-old girl that he literally gets a boner when he talks to her. Like, really? It's kind of funny to me because in my 5-star predictions video, somebody did actually comment and tell me when I had already actually read halfway through this book, but someone commenting told me that they didn't like this book partly because pedophilia was introduced as a relationship tease. I thought, since I'd gotten halfway through the book, that this person was referring to something completely different that I'd already gotten to, which was not the case. The whole thing is, though, that the relationship between the dude and the 7-year-old girl could be completely fine. It could have easily just been like, yeah, when she's older, I'm totally gonna be into her because, like, we obviously have this connection. I'm obviously in love with her, whatever. Like, fine. That would have been completely fine in a fantasy book. Like, it doesn't freaking matter. But the fact that he literally could not seem to keep it in his pants whenever he was in her presence at all, and she's 7 years old, and I was like, really? Like, why? I don't get it. And so it would have been a much more powerful kind of relationship dynamic in general if it wasn't like that. Yeah, overall, that was kind of a big part of the second half of the book, and I think that it could have been handled so much better. But overall, I did really like this book a lot, and I would definitely still recommend it. And the other book that I read this month is Supernova by Cass Morgan. I actually finished this in this first couple of days of October, but who cares? So this is the second book in whatever this duology is. I think the first one is called Light Years, and basically the first one really impressed me because I was not expecting to like it at all. I thought it was going to be like too YA to be my thing, but I unexpectedly ended up really liking it. This one unfortunately didn't quite live up to my expectations because while the first one was full of some really badass, like, high stakes action, this one is just kind of a bunch of relationship drama and a bunch of flashbacks that added very little to the story, so I was kind of like, okay, sure, whatever, but I still really liked it. This series is about 4 different teenagers in a military academy in space, and it follows what goes on with them all, basically. 2 of them are there under false pretenses, and the other ones still have like crazy stuff going on. So it's actually a really entertaining story, and I definitely do recommend this duology. So there you have it, folks, the 2 books that I finished and the 2 books that I DNF'd in the month of September. Please tell me you had a better reading month that you're a little bit more proud of than I am right now. So let me know if you've read any of these books, have thoughts on them, and what your favorite read of September was in the comments, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!